Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we are tackling a high-stress situation that absolutely everyone has faced at some point. We're looking at a fascinating communication framework to solve it, called the architecture of deference. It's really all about how to masterfully handle those completely unreasonable requests.
Section 1, the unreasonable request. Picture this. You're at work and you are already at absolute maximum capacity. You're stressed, you're juggling deadlines, and suddenly your group leader drops by your desk. They don't just ask for a tiny favor, oh no, they drop a massive project right in your lap. They're essentially asking you to do double the work with zero extra time. Your heart rate spikes. The unfairness of the assignment is glaring, and you literally do not have the hours in the day to pull this off.
So ask yourself, how do you respond to that without completely damaging the relationship? It's a massive trap, isn't it? If you just grit your teeth and accept it, you burn out. You inevitably fail. But if you give a blunt, harsh refusal out of pure panic, you risk looking like a difficult employee. The tension is real, and the stakes for your career are incredibly high. Our instinctual reaction is often a direct refusal. Just a flat no. Well, that's honest. It immediately puts up a wall. It shuts down the conversation entirely and damages professional relationships. The alternative, however, shifts the whole dynamic. We call it strategic inquiry, specifically through something called calibrated questions.
Section 2, Architecture of Deference.
So the crucial point is, the architecture of deference is a diplomatic communication technique specifically designed for handling these kinds of unreasonable requests through strategic inquiry. It's a method that allows you to set firm boundaries politely, completely avoiding sounding uncooperative. You aren't fighting the person making the demand. Instead, you're gracefully deferring the problem back to them in a highly structured, collaborative way. It taps into the psychology of problem solving, making the other person realize the constraints without you ever having to complain about them.
Section 3, the how question. The core idea here is so powerful. When someone asks for something unfair, don't just say no. Ask a calibrated question like, how am I supposed to do that? It's a gentle way of saying no that actually makes the other person help you solve the problem. Just notice how calming and disarming that feels. It completely diffuses the hostility of the moment.
This brings us to what's known as the how hub. These three specific questions logically build a beautifully collaborative tone. Step 1. How can I help make this better? That immediately positions you as an ally, not an enemy. Step 2. What is our goal here? That recenters the conversation on shared objectives rather than personal demands. And finally, step 3, the absolute ultimate boundary setter.
How am I supposed to do that? It really is psychological brilliance. You haven't refused, you haven't been insubordinate at all. You've simply asked for their logistical guidance on solving a problem that basically defies the laws of time and space.
Section 4, Creating Shared Challenges.
And this brilliantly illustrates the transformation we've been talking about. You start with a potential conflict, two people staring each other down over an impossible task, ready to argue. But by using that calibrated how question, you instantly transform that tension into a shared challenge. You're now sitting on the same side of the table, looking at the problem together, united in trying to figure out how to make it work.
Let's summarize the core takeaways here, because the outcome of using the architecture of deference is just massive for your daily work life. First off, it shifts the problem-solving burden right back to the requester. Second, it forces them to actually consider the practical limitations of their own request. Third, it politely signals that the task is unrealistic, and it does it without ever using negative language. And finally, the whole shebang maintains your professional relationships. Mastering this directly empowers you to protect your time and advance your career, all without earning a reputation for being difficult.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with a provocative thought. Next time you're handed an impossible task at work, who will solve it, you or the person asking? Keep this framework in your back pocket. Utilize your calibrated questions and let the requester figure out the impossible. Thanks for joining me today, and keep learning.